LGB. 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 LGB.
They say LGB everywhere I go. LGB. What it means, I don't know. LGB. Whatever it is. LGB. Cabal, help me, please. Please.
Alrighty then.
Thank you. LGB.
That's let's go, Brandon, right?
LGB.
This means let's go, Brandon.
No. LGB.
Sounds like let's go, Brandon, I guess.
LGB. All right. Let's go, Brandon.
I am Cornholio.
Chant LGB. Right wing and left wing. LGB. Go, you know the thing. LGB. If you don't sing that back. LGB. And you ain't black. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
I'm Joe Biden, and I
Forgot
this message.
Greetings, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Reading Epic Threads. I'm your host, Patrick Gunnels, joining you from Houston, Texas, this July 6th, 2024 at 3:01 p.m. Central Daylight Time. My wife, the weather girl, has told me that there is a Category 1 hurricane, possibly a Category 2 hurricane, that is stalking us even as we speak. It is said to want to reach landfall somewhere in Texas, possibly sometime tomorrow night, but we're already getting the beautiful black skies that you expect before weather events of this type. I am not scared. I am invigorated. Nevertheless, we could always lose power. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, guys, don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. Thanks to everybody for watching me on X, watching me on Rumble, and even the 0 and 0 of you currently watching me on YouTube. Very impressive, YouTube, making sure that exactly no one can ever find me there. Thank you, everybody. Give me a follow on X, formerly Twitter, if you can. And do me a favor and hit the thumbs up on Rumble and hit the subscribe button on Rumble. Today is going to be a short stream because I just want to make sure that I take care of my family during these stormy times, but I never want to give up the opportunity to do a Reading Epic Thread if I have the ability to. So thank you, those of you who are watching me, even though I have been more sporadic in my live streaming on the P Gunnels channel. And of course, we will be doing the Devolution Power Hour tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. Central, and that'll be a hoot on Badlands Media. In the meantime, guys, go to tulipblooms.shop. That's tulipblooms.shop and get the very best lotion the world has ever known. With the healing power of the finest aloe the world has ever known, food-grade plant oils, virgin organic straight from the plant. We're talking argan oil, amaranth oil, evening primrose oil, rosehip oil, vitamin E oil, just a few drops, and a few other things in there. Plus, right at the end, the finishing gorgeous scent of benzoin resin essential oil. Everything about rainfall is magic to your skin. It causes dead skin to tumble right off of your body. I watched it heal my son's sunburn in real time. You cannot get a lotion like this anywhere else. Go to tulipblooms.shop. Use promo code Shapiro to pry 10% from my grasping hands. And if you get 3 or more bottles, well, you get free shipping. And I think there's something else in there. If you spend more than $50, which this is more than $50, bam, another 5% off. So check it out today at tulipblooms.shop, promo code Shapiro, to attempt to wrest a few of these shekels from my grasping hands. All right, let's talk about today's feature. This is from Erik, Carlson. This is from Badlands Media. From badlands.substack.com, how would you go about taking down the Cabal? It's not as easy as one might think. By Erik Carlson. Many people think that the day Donald Trump was sworn into office on January 20th of 2017, he should have immediately started arresting people. He should have filled up FEMA camps with corrupt American politicians, world leaders, CEOs, entertainers, media members, everyone who is part of the deep state cabal, everyone who has benefited from the cabal or who has looked the other way while the deep state has committed endless crimes against humanity. Some think that once these people were rounded up and put into detention centers, they should have been immediately executed. Others think they should have been tried in the military tribunal system, then, if found guilty, imprisoned or executed for their crimes. On the surface, it's hard to argue with this logic. In theory, you would try and execute the known deep state members, removing them from positions of power and influence, problem solved. But in reality, this might be more akin to removing part of the iceberg that is above water, leaving the larger, more dangerous part of the iceberg underwater intact and invisible to the eye. In other words, if you execute the known deep state players, how do you unearth the unknown players? It's possible the unknown players are more powerful and more evil than the players who are known to us or Trump's allies at the time of his inauguration in 2017. It's also possible that Obama secretly pardoned all these criminals on his way out the door. No deals. This has been the sentiment of some, if not many. Justice must be served in every case. Again, I get it. But is this realistic? And is this even the best way to go about eliminating the deep state cabal? If you remove some of the cancer, but not all, the cancer will grow back again, and eventually you're right back where you started. What kind of effect would the mass arrests and executions of the corrupt people in positions of power and influence have on society? Would this cause a civil war? Would the economy collapse, creating a dystopian Mad Max-like scenario? Would fear take over, causing the abandonment of societal rules and the abeyance of laws? Would the fear, stress, and confusion cause epidemic levels of health and mental health issues even worse than we are currently experiencing? This may all sound over the top, but there really isn't any precedent to use in predicting the possible outcomes. The cabal, who have controlled the world for centuries, if not millennia, has never been taken out in one fell swoop. Maybe the taking down of the cabal should be treated with a little more caution, a little more subtlety. Maybe it would be better to be safe than sorry. When Trump picked up the keys to the White House, he didn't know what was in every closet, what was in the attic, or what might be rotting in the crawl spaces. To expect him to execute the greatest takedown in human history on his first day in office is a bit much. To complete this mission in 4 years might be a pipe dream, especially with 95% of DC globalists, big business, and the media working against him. It's like expecting a fighter pilot single-handedly to win a war the first day he set foot in a cockpit. Yes, he now has access to a powerful weapon, but he needs to learn how to use it. And he needs to learn exactly what he's supposed to use it on. What does make sense? How should one go about taking down the deep state cabal in a manner that lessens the risks to society as much as possible, while capturing as many criminals as possible? If you were going to take down the deep state cabal, the one that has manipulated the world for centuries, controlling every aspect of humanity, how would you go about doing it? What would be the first thing that you should do? How far in advance would you need to plan this dismantling? Who would you ally with? What would the execution of the plan look like? In taking down the cabal, the first thing you should probably do is get a better understanding of who is in the deep state cabal. Map out their hierarchy. Who's at the top pulling the strings? Who is ultimately in control? Who are the cabal assets and who is managing these assets? If you look at this as the mafia families, who are the bosses? Who are the underbosses? Who's the consigliere, the capos, the soldiers, the associates? One should understand that while the cabal families are working together to control the world, there is a constant power struggle going on between the cabal families, a jockeying for power and wealth. In dismantling the Cabal, it would be foolish not to play the Cabal families against one another. With a clear comprehension of who runs the Cabal system and how the system works, the strategizing to take them down would begin. Deals with the lower level associates and soldiers would need to be made. These minions would need to be made aware that their loyalty is unwarranted. Their overlords will sacrifice them and throw them under the bus at the drop of a hat to protect themselves and to protect the corrupt system. While deals are made with the lower level deep state players, you must insist that they go about their business as if nothing has changed. This might mean that these lower level criminals would continue to commit crimes and influence society, but this might be necessary to maintain the illusion that there is no plan in place to take down their masters. Just as the police may let a lower level street drug dealer off or give him a lesser punishment for information and cooperation in taking down the drug supplier, you got to understand that collateral damage is necessary at times, and there would be some criminals who would not face the justice they deserve. Deals have to be made, but many people don't understand or refuse to accept that deals have to be made. Some people throw around accusations about patriots being a part of the system because deals are made, but without the deals being made, the system can't be completely dismantled. Having a clear understanding of the Cabal system and its hierarchy and assessment of the mental and psychological state of the masses needs to be made. There needs to be an understanding of exactly how conditioned and brainwashed the general public are, how asleep they are, and who, if any, are awake or capable of shaking off the spell that has been cast on all of humanity. Through a detailed assessment, it was likely concluded that people are at all different stages. Some are awake, some are ready to be woken up, some will stay asleep for quite a while longer, and some are in a psychological coma from which they will never wake up. How do you go about informing people of the atrocities that have occurred and are occurring unbeknownst to them? How does one go about telling the people that almost everything they believe is a lie? How does one explain to the masses that the people they support and adore are evil and actually hate them? That the people they view as their enemies are really their friends? Would it be better to take baby steps, or to force the addicts to go cold turkey? Would the withdrawal be worse than the addiction? Would a mass exposure of the truth cause irreparable damage to too many people? Would the mass exposure of the truth cause many people to shut down, to be unable to function, to be unable to deal with reality? I argue that this is a risk that could not be taken. It makes more sense to start the communication process with people who are awake or ready to be woken up, the people who are equipped to handle the truth. A unique way of communicating to these people would be needed. It would be necessary to work around the media that is controlled by the Cabal. It would be necessary to communicate outside of normal means, outside of normal channels, to communicate in anonymity, in the shadows, in codes. In order to avoid disseminating classified information, information would need to be shared in the form of questions, leading people to research on their own. Statements in the form of questions like, was the CIA involved in the assassination of JFK? Confusion is necessary. Anonymity must be maintained until the very end. Those who have ears to hear and eyes to see have been called upon to research, to decode, to connect the dots. With the Cabal-run media demeaning and poisoning the communications, it exposes their corruption even further to the masses. This discerning audience is expected to separate the truth from the fiction. Discernment and the ability to reason and read between the lines are both necessary, especially in the early ages of the information drops. The awake are needed to wake up the less discerning, the masses. The chosen few can't be spoon-fed or showered with affirmation. A distance is required between the messages being disseminated and the messengers that you are entrusting with those messages. But well before communicating with the people who are ready, willing, and able to receive the truth, an infiltration of the Cabal would be needed. as Crockett and Tubbs drove a Ferrari and wore designer clothes on Miami Vice to convince the drug cartels that they were players in the drug game, a public identity would need to be created to convince the cabal that you were one of them. The optics of an egotistical womanizer obsessed with wealth and power would do the trick. If this is how one acts in public, imagine how morally corrupt they must be in private. The cabal must have been shocked when they finally discovered there were no skeletons in their enemy's closet. There is no way to blackmail him or control him. As Batman tries to avenge his parents' deaths and save Gotham City from the criminal underworld, Bruce Wayne-like alter ego would be beneficial, allowing one to rub elbows with the elite, to spy on them unknowingly. An alter ego would be necessary to convince the elite that you were one of them, that they had no reason to fear you, and that their immoral secrets are safe with you. Early on, bonds would need to be made with honest men and women in law enforcement, the CIA, the FBI, the military, big business, DC, and the media. One would need to ally with world leaders who have not had America's best interests in mind from countries that have been enemies of the American people. The organized crime families would need to be infiltrated. No one could suspect anything until it was too late. But first, it would be necessary to discover who the honest people are, who can be trusted, and to test people to find out who would remain loyal. Patriots, their families, and allies would be put in harm's way. Many would be subjected to ridicule. Egos would need to stay in check. The biting of tongues would be needed. Ridicule and attacks would go unchecked. Names would be dragged through the mud as the cabal mocked and lied about those who stood up to them. In some cases, families would be ruined financially, and good lives would be lost. The easiest and simplest move to make would have been to arrest everyone suspected of being a part of the deep state cabal on day one. The hard decision, the right decision, was for us to take our time, to assess the situation, to collect information, and to move forward with caution. The world can't be told the truth. They must be shown. They must believe they discovered it on their own. The world must be shown the depravity of the cabal. The world must be shown the criminality of the cabal. The world must be shown the inadequacies of the cabal's minions. The recent presidential debate is a prime example. The world refused to believe what they are now willing to accept about Joe Biden, having seen it with their own eyes. With no one to tell them what they are seeing, the people are forced to accept reality. I understand the frustrations people have, the belief that nothing is happening. The cabal still controls the world, and justice has not been served. But I also understand it had to be this way, and some mistakes have been made along the way. The plan hasn't been executed to perfection, but it has been pretty darn close. We had to go through the trials and tribulations we've endured in this tug of war against the cabal. We need everyone pulling their weight with the vast majority on board. As we approach the election and eventually Trump's next term, nothing will be the same. It won't be another 4-year term where the deep state is bruised and bloodied but still remains in power. Trump's first term was an information collecting mission, a sting operation he planned decades in advance. Trump's next term is when the strategic dismantling of the deep state occurs, not a demolition with people still in the building, not even a controlled demolition that creates a massive mound of rubble. The demolition will likely involve the dismantling of the cabal, one wall at a time, one CEO replaced at a time, one government agency head replaced at a time, one congressman, one senator, one studio head, one world leader. We will grow bored of the constant winning, yet insist it isn't happening enough. Be patient, be hopeful, be brave, and trust the plan, as painful as that might be. We are at the doorstep of a world we have never known before. We are entering uncharted waters. It is an understatement to say the best is yet to come. It won't just be a better day. It will be a new existence. Our chains are about to be broken. And that is the piece from the inimitable Erik Carlson. Erik, I think that's my favorite piece that you have ever written. My friends, my dear friends, don't forget, rainfall has arrived. Are you ready for rainfall? Rainfall is the best lotion that the world has ever known. Using the power, the healing magic of organic aloe, of food-grade plant oils, virgin organic, harvested, cold-pressed, straight from the plants from which they come. Evening primrose. We've got hemp seed oil, also known as cannabis sativa oil. We've got argan, amaranth, babasu oil, which is a wonderful, totally non-comedogenic, non-drying version of coconut. It's similar to coconut oil, but without any of the drawbacks. Guys, we really poured our heart and soul into this one. I watched it heal a sunburn on my very own son right before my eyes. Go to tulipblooms.com and use promo code Shapiro. You spend more than 50, you get another 5% off after the 10% off from promo code Shapiro, and free shipping. You get 3 or more bottles. Guys, rainfall has arrived. It's time to get your hands on it. Tulipblooms.shop, promo code Shapiro. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you on the Power Hour tonight, and let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow.